I'm Leslie Verner from Carolina Breast Friends, and we are so excited to welcome you to the Pink House Kitchen today. We love it when Laura is cooking for us. Laura Coleman is a chef extraordinaire. She's a breast cancer survivor, and she's a cancer exercise specialist. And it's always fun to see what she's fixing in the kitchen. So Laura, tell us about what you're preparing tonight.
Thank you, Leslie. Tonight we are making chicken masala wraps. So I have to say this is not my original recipe. I follow a lot of different health blogs, and this one came across in the Equinox blog, and I just looked at it and it really caught my eye. There was really not a whole lot I would have to change to make this healthy because it's super healthy. High in protein, high in fiber. It's a great meal that you could have for lunch or dinner. You could serve it a bunch of different ways, a couple of different ways, which we'll talk about. And it's super high in protein, which is something that you really need going into surgery, coming out of surgery, during treatment. So I just thought this was like a great recipe to go with tonight. So what I've done to get prepared is I've rinsed my rice. Now I'm cutting some of this down, only because there's two of us here. So I cut my rice in half. So I'm doing 1 cup of rice instead of 2 cups. So 1 cup of rice will yield about 2 cups of cooked rice. You could also buy in the frozen food section the rice already done. So I'm gonna put the rice in the water and I'm gonna add a pinch of salt. Give it a whirl. And I'm going to bring it to a boil, and then I'll simmer it. And that'll be done by the time we get through with everything else that we've got going on. So now that that's coming to a boil, keep an eye on it. We're going to start with the pickled onions. So I am going to take a red onion, and I'm going to cut off the ends. I'm just gonna leave the root part on. That helps cutting down on the gases of the onion. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You never know. Sometimes the onions are just super strong and there's nothing you could do. So let's get that all peeled. It also makes it a little easier to cut because the onion doesn't fall apart as you're cutting it. So we got it peeled, and then I'm just gonna cut this in half one more time. And I'm just going to slice it thinly. I always feel like it sounds so loud on the, when I'm chopping. Does it sound really loud to you guys?
No, it's good.
All right. So I am doing the full recipe on the onion and then the marinade with the yogurt because I will use this for other things. I mean, these will be great on tacos. I mean, or in salads or bowls. I know Adrian really likes to do bowls every now and then, and maybe we'll do a bowl in November. So I'm going to pull all these apart and put them in my bowl. And I can hear the water boiling on the rice, so I'm going to turn it down to a simmer and cover it. Easy enough. Cut up the rest of the onion. Sometimes, I don't know if you know this, but putting a little bit of olive oil on the edge of your blade keeps your onions from sticking to the blade. I probably should have done it, but just a little trick, little kitchen trick.
You know, Laura, sometime it might be fun if you put together like a handout with 10 or 15 of your kitchen tricks.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and then we can put that on our website or figure out how to send it out to all the survivors. I think that would be great.
Perfect.
I love it when you just, because I remember it when I see you doing it and you tell it while you're doing it, the visual impact. And then I think, oh, I remember she told us to do this.
Yeah. So, okay, so here I'm going to do a quarter of a cup of lemon juice. And just because I do it all the time, I usually get a quarter cup out of 2 lemons. So I usually get about 2 tablespoons, limes. I usually get about 2 tablespoons out of each. If they're kind of, soft when they're harder and not as juicy, I don't get as much. So these are kind of pretty juicy, so I know I'm getting a good amount out. So the acid is going to help to pickle the onions. And then we're just going to add a pinch of salt, and we're going to set this aside and let the lime juice do its trick. Go, pinch of salt. Give it a little toss. I'm just going to use my hands to toss it. I love how the lemon, I keep on calling lemon, but the lime juice just, it makes the red onion almost brighter, pinker. So it's pretty. Okay, so we're going to put that aside, and then we're going to move on to the date chutney. So the date chutney, again, I'm going to make a full recipe of the date chutney because I'll use that for other things. So we're going to start. I have 9 of the dates, and I bought them already pitted. But if you hadn't, or were not able to find dates that were pitted, all you do is put a little slice in it down the side, and you pull it open, and then there'll be a little pit right in there. Real easy to do yourself. I will say if you buy them pitted, sometimes there's a little stem, a little brown stem at the end of it that they don't pull out. Just make sure you pull those out. That will be tough and chewy. So all I'm going to do is quarter these. Get another bowl. And they're sticky. It's just a natural way to sweeten your dish. I use dates a lot in lieu of sugar.
Laura, the inside looks, it's got like a, I don't know if you can see, it's got like the white stuff, the white stringy stuff on the inside. Is that okay?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay.
So some of mine do too. Some of them are going to have more string than others, so you can see.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so it's just
okay.
the nature of the fruit.
Thank you.
Almost. I should probably use a bigger bowl because I think this is going to, we'll see. I should be able to mash it. All right. And then I'm going to add, put this to the side because I will use that to put the chutney back in when we're ready to serve. And then we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. So, Shar, were you able to find the tamarind paste?
Yeah, well, I have a rice and spice Indian market near me, and I found tamarind concentrate.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah, it's the same. So
Okay.
I didn't get the concentrate, so I got the paste instead. So if you can't find it, there's an easy substitution for it. It's just equal parts of either rice wine vinegar or white wine vinegar and then brown sugar. So tamarind is a fruit, and all that's in here is the fruit of the tamarind without the seeds, and it's just kind of cooked down. So it's kind of like a sweet sour flavor, I guess is what you would call it. Did you taste yours? If there's any, I always suggest tasting something that's new. And it does. It gives you that.
Not tasted it.
It does. It has kind of like a little citrusy. It makes you go, You know how you pucker? Like if you were to have like
Yeah,
yeah, but it adds a lot of flavor
it's
to your
real
dishes.
dark.
It's dark, like molasses.
It's like, yeah, like molasses, but it doesn't taste like molasses.
No, it's sweet, right?
Yummy,
It's
but
nice.
sweet, but tangy. Yeah.
Yes. So that's how you kind of get that. So, okay. So next we're going to add our ginger. So I wanted to just kind of go over, I usually use the frozen ginger. And I just wanted to go over how, like, if you had to use fresh ginger and you couldn't find the frozen ginger, how you would do it. So this is about, I'm going to do this, and all I'm going to do is peel this. If you wanted to use a peeler, you could use a peeler to peel it. Love when people don't put things back where they're supposed to be. And honestly, I think my daughter stole it. She took my peeler. See? She moves out, still has keys to the house, and comes and gets what she needs when she can't find something at her apartment. Little stinker. All right, so I'm just gonna peel it. So you're just peeling the brown skin off of it. It's super easy. Use a paring knife, and then any dry part I'm gonna take off. And then I just use either a microplane, or I will use this little hand grater I have to the side. And I still think the frozen, so I'll show you the frozen. Frozen ginger. So if you don't want to mess with, you know, cutting, shredding, so on and so forth, this works just as well. I will say though that fresh ginger has more of an intense flavor. So because this is, and that's another reason, because it's more of an Indian, yeah, that's fine. Ginger paste.
Yeah, this is how I buy mine.
Perfect. Do
It's
you have to
organic
refrigerate
too.
that?
Yep. Yeah, you have to refrigerate it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go through and grate it. And for this, I'm going to get about a tablespoon. And you'll see as you grate it, the strings are left on top, which is what you want. You don't want all that stringiness in it. I got to put my, I got so excited about the tamarind paste and tasting it, I forgot to put it in the bowl. So I'll put that in next. All right, so here we go. We've probably got about a tablespoon here. And I can smell it. I love the smell of ginger. Ginger's got a little bit of heat. So I'm gonna put in 1.5 tablespoons of the tamarind. And then I'm just gonna use my finger to get it all out, because we want all that good, yummy flavor in there. And then I'm gonna put in the ginger, the fresh ginger. There we go. And get a little rinse. And then I'm gonna put in the dry. So we're gonna go to cumin, and I put about a teaspoon of cumin in here. I love cumin, so I always add a little more, you know what I mean, than a teaspoon. So this is where you get to play with your flavors. So if you know that you really like something a lot more, I just love the flavor of cumin, so I always go a little heavy on the cumin. Cayenne, super hot. So what I'm gonna do, it says a pinch of cayenne. I'm just gonna get the edge, a small edge here, and just put that in. So I'm just using that instead of my fingers, because it'll dye my fingers. But that's a good way to kind of measure it. A lot of times you can't see how much is between your fingers, but if I put it on the very edge of a small spoon, then I can get a good sense of how much cayenne is going in there. And then a pinch of sea salt. So I would say that you should use sea salt as much as you could. Use sea salt over iodized salt and kosher salt. It's not processed. It's actually dried salt from the, the ocean, the sea. It's got tons of minerals in it and antioxidants and nutrients that are actually good for you. So I switched. I don't use, I have iodized salt for when my husband wants to rinse his mouth out. That's the only time I use it. I have kosher salt for when I'm boiling, but whenever I'm seasoning my food, I use the sea salt. Okay, let me get 1/3 of a cup of boiling water, and I boiled the water earlier. So I'm gonna measure out 1/3 of a cup. And I'm gonna pour this over. I'm actually gonna put it back in the microwave because it got a little cool. So of course, it's been hot as heck, right? And today it's not so hot, and it cooled down really fast. All right, so I'm gonna put this to the side, the ginger. I'm gonna save it for later. Once that boils, we'll pour it over, and it'll help to rehydrate the dates a little bit, and it'll be easier to mash them from that perspective. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna put the water over. There, much better, nice and hot. Grab a fork. Oh, it smells really good. The minute you put the water in there, really brought out like the ginger and the cumin. So this is going to take a little work to do, and sometimes, I may come back to it because it's going to soften as it sits in the water. You don't have to do this either. You could throw it into a little mini chopper if you want, as opposed to using the fork. So if you have one, do that. And this is where you learn, right? So this is what the recipe called to do. I think I would change this up and possibly just give it a little chop in the blender or the mini chopper, and I'll pull it out and show you. But I am going to put this to the side and let it sit. I'll come back maybe a little later, mash it a little again. Then I'm going to get I'm just going to do a little taste on the chutney because I've never tasted this, so I want to see. Ooh, that's nice. It's sweet, but it's going to balance out the turmeric and the garam masala. And it's going to be really nice on the brown rice. Be delicious on toast too. All right, let's put that to the side and we're going to move along. So I've got that to the side. So now we're going to start with the chicken. I'm going to create a marinade for the chicken. I'll use this bowl now. And I use the frozen garlic for this here. So because it's going in a marinade, I don't worry about it being, coarse. So I want it to kind of dissolve. So we've got the garlic, got a teaspoon of fresh ginger. This is a teaspoon. I'm going to use this. Or maybe I'll use the ginger. Let's grate it since I already have it out. Get it grated. Looking good. All right. So I'll get this ginger in here. Good. And then we've got some ground cumin. Again, I'm going to go probably a little heavy on the cumin because that's my jam. about 1.5 teaspoons. So mine is gonna be more like 2 teaspoons. I've never ever put too much cumin in anything. I don't know, it's one of those things, right? Okay, we've got 2 teaspoons of ground turmeric. This I will measure out. So I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of the turmeric. And you'll see the turmeric is going to turn it like that nice orangey yellow color that you see in a lot of Indian cuisine. So in your curries, your tikka masalas. So this is a spin on tikka masala, right? The only difference is that this doesn't have that rich, creamy sauce that goes with it. So that's where all those calories are. So if you look up how many calories are in a serving of tikka masala, it's somewhere between 800 and 1,100 calories, which is crazy, right? Okay, so we've got that in there. We're gonna throw in some garam masala. So that's 1.5 teaspoons, I believe. Mine is new. So, and this neck is a little smaller, so I'm going to use the 1/2 teaspoon. So I'm just going to do 3 of them. Double check. I love the smell of this too. This is so good. Okay, good. And then we're going to put a cup of yogurt in there. So here's the thing. They say whole milk yogurt, and the reason why they say whole milk yogurt, it's because yogurt is a good fat. So when they take the fat out of things, like with yogurt and stuff, they usually add something in to make up for the loss of flavor and fat. I find that 2% to 5% works really well, and I don't see a whole lot of loss in flavor. I love Fage because it's thick, so it has the consistency of like a sour cream. And honestly, I use yogurt in lieu of sour cream. So when I'm eating tacos or I want to do sour cream and chives on a potato, I use the yogurt. And if you didn't know, it's like your mind sees one thing and it just, that taste is going to be what you think it's going to be. So, I mean, I was doing this and my husband and my kids freaked out when they saw me doing it. They're like, ew, what are you doing? And I'm like, you've been eating it this way for the last 6 months. So put your ew, what are you doing away back in your mouth. So let's get this up. All right, that's about a cup. I'm gonna put it in and we're gonna get it all mixed up. Probably take this out. All right. Clean up a little bit. All right, let's get this mixed together. And of course, I'm going to taste everything as I go. So I've got this here, get it nice and mixed. If you wanted to use a whisk, you can use a whisk to incorporate it. But I'm just making sure that all the herbs that we put in there, the garlic and the ginger are all incorporated. And it's all uniform in color, right? So I don't see any just white. And we'll get another spoon over here. Ooh, really, really nice. This is where the real Indian spice is really starting to kind of come through. And my thing is this, if people like it spicy, which some people do, I always put a little added spice out there, but the whole spice thing is a personal taste. So I like spice. My husband likes some spice, but not as much as I do. So I kind of just go gentle on the spices and I'll throw some either cayenne pepper or crushed red peppers out to the side. So if somebody wants a little more heat or, you know, a little harissa sauce or something if you want that on it. All right, so now I'm gonna get my chicken ready. So my chicken, what I am gonna do, I'll do it on this side, is I'm gonna put the marinade in my chicken in a baggie so I don't have to dirty another bowl. And I decided to do chicken tenders. And the reason why I decided to do chicken tenders is I'm gonna cook them a little differently than the directions say. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with you, Shar, as I'm doing it. So I'm only gonna do half of these because I'm cutting the recipe in half. And then maybe I'll just do, yeah, I'm gonna do half of them. And I'm just gonna flatten mine out just a little bit. It's just gonna speed up the cooking process for me too, is that if I cook them more like as a tender as opposed to cooking them as a, you know, in chopped pieces. And then I'll just chop them when I'm done cooking. So I'm just kind of giving them a little bit of a hit with the back of the knife to get them even in size. Let me wash before I touch other things. All right. Okay. So I'm going to throw about, it says a half a cup, so it would be half of the mixture. So I'm not going to quite put all of the mixture in here. I'm going to do maybe a quarter of a cup in here because I'm doing half of the chicken recipe. I'm going to put it in. I'll add a little more if I need it. I'm going to throw my chicken in there. I might throw like another little spoonful in, but I've got to wash my hands again. That's the one thing about chicken is like you touch the chicken, you got to wash your hands. All right. Just a little more of this in here. Then I can seal it. And just get it all coated this way. This is when you hand it off to one of the kids and say, play and have fun. So you just want to get it all coated. There we go. All right, so I have this ready to go. I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit. Not long. And I'm gonna start getting some of my things in bowls. I'm gonna give my onions another little toss. And of course, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna taste one to see how the pickling is coming along. So let's see. Oh, one fell out, so that's perfect. Let's see. Ooh, did you taste, Shar?
Yeah, I don't usually like raw onions, but it's taken some of the bitterness out of it or whatever. Yeah.
And brought some sweetness to them.
Yeah.
Do you taste that? So
Yeah,
I'm just gonna,
yummy.
while this is marinating a little, I'm just gonna start getting these in bowls. So I'm gonna take some of the pickled onions and just start setting up with the condiments, just getting them ready for serving so that when they're done cooking, you know, the chicken's done cooking, I'm ready to go. And then with whatever's left over, I would just put into, hi Wendy.
Hi.
Cute little boy.
Say thank you. It's my nanny kid, Oliver.
So I would just put them in a mason jar and throw them in the refrigerator and hold on to them, you know, until you want to throw them on a salad or on a sandwich or in an omelet, whatever. And on an omelet, pickled might not be great, but on top of the omelet, it might be good. Okay, so we got our chicken marinating. I'm also gonna put some of the yogurt mixture in here. I love all the colors. I'm a big color person when it comes to food. So I'm hoping that you can really see what's going on here with the colors. And first time making this, I probably might make a little more of the yogurt. So I might not double it, but maybe do a recipe and a half of it. So maybe 1.5 cups of the yogurt, and then you just do another half recipe of all the other ingredients. All right, so we've got this going. You see the color so far. Pretty. I'm going to give the chutney another mash. So now it's you can see now with the, well, you can't see, but move my fancy water out of the way. It's starting to really break down now that it's been sitting in the water.
Mine's not mashing very well.
Okay, so do you have a mini chopper at home?
I tried using it and it all spewed out. All the liquid like spewed out of it. So I do have I have one of these things, you know, like for a smoothie that you can screw the thing on and
Magic bullet.
yeah, and it chops it all up. So maybe I'll use this.
Yeah, just do a couple of pulses.
Okay.
Because
maybe I'll
I
just
don't
be
know if you
able
can
to-
see mine. I mean, there's still chunks of fruit in there, which you want. You just don't want whole chunks. I would say maybe next time, Shar, I would cut them into eighths.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
It might make the process a little easier.
I agree.
All right, so now this is ready. So I'm going to put some of this in a little serving bowl. So you can see how and I'll show you as I pull it out and I'll just pull it off the fork. You can see, well, that one just fell off the fork. So let's see. You can see how there's some paste, but there's also little pieces and like chunks of it in here. So put that on there, wipe up. I'm gonna put some of this to the side. I made a little mess. I'm gonna wipe that up. And just a little fork for the onions I'll throw in here. So, Shar, you were asking about the cilantro. I like to put the cilantro out in a little cup like this, and it's super easy to just pick off. I mean, I would just pull a whole sprig and, well, there you go, right? I would just leave it like this. It's pretty to serve. And then I could just pull the sprig and pull the leaves off like that. So if you hold it at the base and lightly run your fingers up through the top like that, the leaves kind of come off pretty easily. So here, and then you just pull up and then it comes off. And the stems actually have a lot of flavor in them. So don't feel like it just has to be all leaf. The thin stem is fine. You just don't want the thick part of the stem. So
yeah, thank you.
All right, so we've got that, which I've got to throw away because the chicken was on there. So I'm almost done shopping. I'm going to flip this over to the clean side. I'm going to clean my knife, and then we're going to get going on the chicken. But I'm also going to check my rice and hope that the rice is ready. I am going to talk about one other thing, though. Let's talk about the lettuce. So I have this for the lettuce. Let's get some of this stuff all out of the way here. So little gem lettuce sometimes could be really hard to find. And what little gem lettuce is it's just a sweeter lettuce. And it's almost like a baby lettuce. But a lot of times they're just really small. So if you find it here, they tend to be very small leaves. And I bought them because I eat a lot of salad. I love it on my sandwiches. So I wasn't worried about it. But I prefer romaine hearts. And the reason why I pick romaine hearts is because the romaine hearts are sweeter than the regular romaine. The regular romaine has like a little bit of like a bitter taste to it. But so there's your little gem. It's pretty. It's got a little, red on the edge. But if you can't find the whole head, you have to pick out, and they're not really very comfortable. So did you buy the baby butter lettuce?
Yeah, I got a hydroponic. I think it is butter lettuce. Yes.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah.
So, and every supermarket is going to be different. So instead I got, and I love this because this is washed. I don't have to, they changed the packaging on here and I can't seem to open it. So instead of like having, you know, the thing that you rip on the side, they've got plastic on it. So you can see with the romaine hearts, they're just a little sturdier, right? And a little bigger. So I'm just gonna put some romaine hearts, pick some out on here. And get it all ready to serve. And I'm gonna throw a couple of those in there too. So we'll have a mixture. Might as well use them, right? There's some pretty ones. Try to find the best ones that are in here. These tend to be like, these are all really small, so not having a whole lot of luck with having bigger pieces in this one. And this will just be if somebody wants an extra bite. All right, so we've got our lettuce. Now we're ready to cook. I'm gonna check the rice, make sure it's close to being done. Oh, perfect. Maybe another minute. All right, so let's get this pan hot. And what is strange to me is that they don't have any oil in the pan. So I'm assuming that the fat from the yogurt is going to cook it. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna start with one piece just because if there's, you know, like, I don't know, I'll put it all in. I think it'll be fine, but we're gonna see what happens. So this is a learning experience for me too. I've never cooked anything that was just marinated in like yogurt. I've baked it marinated in yogurt, but I've never done it in a pan. So my pan is getting nice and warm. Let's lay these babies out. Oh, it smells good. There's one more. There we go. So I have all my pieces in there. It'd be nice when we can get back into the kitchen and actually taste what we're cooking. Although Shar will be able to tell us how everything is tasting.
Yeah, Leslie, I'm really glad you sent the recipe out ahead of time. That was very smart.
Oh, good. Well, I'm going to try to do that every time going forward.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right, so these should take like 4 or 5 minutes each side. Charlene, how are yours cooking?
They are, so I put them in and it's like it burnt at first, the yogurt, because it was already heated up. But now that the chicken has released juices, it's simmering and cooking really quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do it in 2 batches.
You probably will, yeah. So I might, just going forward with this, just do a really light coating of olive oil or even avocado. I would do avocado oil or grapeseed oil because that doesn't impart any flavor. So that was my only thing. That's the reason why I decided to do more of the tenders, because I was afraid of that happening because they kind of will bunch together when they're cut into small pieces.
Right.
So, but
I was able to separate them out.
good.
Yeah, so that's good. And it smells delicious.
It does smell really good. Too bad I don't eat chicken.
Laura, what was it you said? Use avocado, or what was the other kind of oil?
Grapeseed oil,
Oh,
grapeseed
grapeseed.
oil. So I've cooked one side. You could see, I'll let you see how it's starting to caramelize and turn brown. Nice. But I definitely agree that there needs to be something in there to kind of help the chicken just release a little and not cook, which I'm going to grab just a bit. So I have here, it's grapeseed oil. Everybody sells it. I'm just gonna put a little bit on a paper towel and move it around the pan. Actually, I'm gonna see what happens on the second side. So this is where I get to experiment. So I'm gonna be flipping it. I'll put a little grapeseed oil in there and just move it around. I mean, it's a nonstick pan, but I still think this might help. So I'm just going to transfer it from that pan to this pan once that one side is done. Nice. And this one, I'm just going to let finish cook in this pan. And I'm going to just give this a little, make sure it's done. And this still has a few more. I'm going to let this finish cooking in here. Yeah, definitely the grapeseed oil. It's going to allow it to kind of caramelize, but it's moving around a lot easier. Here you go. Another check on my rice. I love brown rice. I stopped eating white rice such a long time ago. It's hard for me to start like back with it. But I will say, unless it's like in fried rice, then I'm all over it. All right, so these are cooking. Moving right along. I'm gonna do just a small bowl of rice for now because it's just us. Well, it'll be my husband when he comes home. So some rice. Spoon for the rice. Slide this down. Maybe another minute and the chicken should be done. So another way to serve this would be in a bowl, right? So you just do the bottom of the bowl, you put the rice, you put your chicken in a corner, your condiments around in other corners, and then I would maybe shred some like lettuce or maybe some baby bok choy might be really nice in there, and put that in the towards the side, and then finish it with some cilantro. And then I might take a lime and squeeze a lime over it, which would be really nice. You could do it as a salad, right? So chop up your lettuce, mix it with the rice, and then add in all the other ingredients. So a couple of different ways to eat it. If you want, it's like an Indian burrito. So if you want to do a burrito, you want to use a wrap. I mean, honestly, this is the reason why they do it this way is they're just trying to eliminate some more refined carbs and processed carbs. So that's why they're doing it that way. But you can buy like tortillas that are minimally processed. There's a bunch of them out there now. I know Walmart and actually Costco sells them. I have them outside. It's a flour tortilla, but that's all it is. There's no preservatives in it whatsoever, and you can freeze them. All right, so let's get these guys. So a little less caramelization, but still browning. There we go. I'll put this back over here. And I'm just gonna give them a nice little, I'm gonna give them a dice because I think they're gonna be easier to eat in the lettuce cups. If I was doing a burrito, I just might cut them into these like little slivers and go that route. Now I get on here. There you go. Move this all out of the way. One more rinse. And I don't know what you can see, so I will slide this out. So here you have, your chicken and your lettuce. Then I might do this. And I like it because it's kind of family style, right? So you can kind of just play with the plating. So I am gonna put one together and we'll see what it looks like. I won't eat it though. Let's see. So I'm gonna use the lettuce that they talked about using. And I'm gonna start with just a spoonful of rice. Go down. And then I'm gonna add some chicken. This does look really good.
I think it looks delicious.
I would have to flex possibly for this one. I'm gonna put a little bit of this chutney on and just get it kind of spread out.
Does your family appreciate what a good cook you are and what wonderful meals you prepare for them?
They do, but honestly, I haven't been doing a ton of cooking either. You know, it's in the summer, it's just, we eat really light, but now like that the weather's starting to change, I think it's going to be, you know, we'll go back to cooking again. So, and some of the yogurt sauce. And then finish with a few of the onions. And then there you go. So that's your little lettuce burrito wrap. Easy to pick up, easy to eat.
It looks great.
It does.